The Rings of Power, Episode 7 of Season 2, now out, so let's talk about it. Okay, so the newest episode of Season 2 of The Rings of Power is now out on Amazon Prime for you guys to go and check out. Now, last week's episode, I thought was the best episode of the season so far. Now, that does not mean I think it's the best episode of TV in all of history. People have been taking that way out of context. I just said it was the best in the season. I did not say it was better than Shogun. I did not say it was better than Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, or anything like that. I did not say that. So, coming into this week's episode, I wanted this episode to just keep improving. Because so far this season has been, an improvement on the first season. It's not perfect. It's not like the best thing since sliced bread. But it's slowly getting better and better in my opinion. So that's all I wanted this episode was to do. Was to continue climbing up that mountain. Just keep getting, a more solid episode each week. So, after watching episode 7, I thought this episode was fine. I didn't think it was anything outrageously great or anything like that. I still feel that this show is just missing the dialogue. It's missing the wow factor still. There's so many moments in this episode where you could have this conversation with Sauron, with the blacksmith elf, when he's talking there, when he's getting revealed and everything. That conversation could have been really, really good, but I just feel like when they're talking, it's not, I wouldn't say it's the performance, it's just the writing that just let it down. It just did not give me that factor that I'm sitting there and going, oh my word, this conversation is top notch. This is like the greatest conversation I've heard so far. It just doesn't have that. Shogun, for instance, you could just have two characters in a room and they're just talking, the tension, everything about it, the dialogue and all that. This is incredible. This show just does not have that, and it's showcased in this episode again. Now, what this episode does do well is the action. So this episode is very much action heavy. We have the orcs coming in, trying to bring down the wall, trying to invade the city to get to Sauron. So you have this big battle going on, and then you have Elrond who turns up as well. So the elves are there, and it's like this big battle that is happening. To me, I enjoyed that aspect. I enjoyed the fighting. I thought there was some great creative kills. There were some great moments. Some shots didn't look the greatest. I'll tell you that now. Some of them were a bit wonky, and I was like, you can tell that's fake. But nevertheless, it was still, a decent thing. And so I really, really enjoyed the action throughout here. I liked how the orcs were more strategic rather than just brute force. They figured out a way how to get around things. That worked. Now, the stuff with Sauron. I have said so far that the Sauron stuff has been the best part of this season. And I still stand by that. I still think the Sauron stuff is the most interesting part. Now, he finally gets revealed in this episode. He finally comes out and goes, yeah, the blacksmith guy's figured it out. He's like, the mouse is running around. He's like, wait a second. The mouse is doing the same thing over and over again. The candle's not burning. What's going on here? Something's not right. And this is where then he confronts him, and this is where we get the big reveal of yeah, I'm Sauron, bro. I've been manipulating your mind this whole entire time. So you have that happening, and then, he's basically, what Sauron has done is manipulated everyone else to thinking that the blacksmith guy has lost his mind and that he's not fit enough to take over. So Sauron's now taken over. They don't know. So he's manipulating people into doing what he does. So that's what really this whole episode is about. It's about this battle. It's about him trying to get those rings completed so that he can then have those 9 rings as well for the man. Now, so we have Adar coming in to attack. We have all that stuff going on, being revealed in that. Meanwhile, we have the stuff with the dwarves going on. And this is where Durin is now taking it upon. The other elves are starting to see that the greed is taking over the king. So they want to stand with Durin. Durin's getting them ready to go after Elrond comes in and asks for the help to take down these orcs. And just as Durin's about to take this army and go and fight, his father goes AWOL. So we don't get to see the full thing there, but we know that he's pulled his army. Elrond's hoping that he's going to turn up. Whether or not he does, we're going to have to enter the next episode, which is going to be the season finale. The stuff with Galadriel as well. She gets free in this episode. So that's really all that really happened in this episode. We didn't get any more of the stranger. We didn't get any more of the sea people either. This was all focused on this moment with Sauron and what is happening. So we have then Adar coming in at the end there with the rest of the orcs. The orcs, there is one orc who's kind of like, oh man, I don't know, I don't want to die for you or anything like that. And it's kind of like, but I see where Adar's coming from when he's like, look, the best bit of dialogue in this whole entire episode was Adar, where he was like, you know, where they're like, oh, I thought you loved us. He said, I love you with all my heart, more than to allow you to become slaves to Sauron. And I thought that was good. And we're starting to see this character of Adar, of who he really is. So I'm liking how we're exploring Adar a bit more in depth and understanding that he would rather have all of them die than them be taken over by Sauron. So you can already see, look, we've got so many moving forces going on at once here that all have one common enemy. You would think they'd just team up, take Sauron down, and they'd be like, okay, now let's have a free-for-all. But then they're not doing that, okay? They're not doing that. So you have that in there. But this episode, I thought was okay. I didn't think it was anything spectacular, like I've said. The action, at times it was kind of dark. And there was times where I couldn't really see what was going on at times. When I could see, I really enjoyed the fighting. I thought it was great. I thought it was a bit weird that, Elrond and that sat down in the middle of it. Like they're about to charge. The armies are there. They're face to face. And then they just stop and they just start talking. And I'm like, okay. Interesting. But, whatever then. Okay. So, and then you have the blacksmith guy cutting off his finger. I thought, why didn't he just cut the... Like, this is the thing. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so you're going to cut your finger off so you can fit it out of the chain, right? Why would you not put the chain there? I don't know why he didn't try and put the chain there and cut the chain instead first before cutting his finger off. That was a weird choice. I don't know why that was made, because it was kind of obvious. I was like, oh, so he's going to put the chain through there and cut it. And then it's like, no, he put his finger there. I was like, maybe you should try the chain first. See if that works first. And if it doesn't work, then cut your finger off. You don't need to cut your finger off first and then just be like, oh, yeah, I can give a handout. But it is what it is. So we have the season finale next week. How is that going to go? Look, so far season 2 has been better than season 1, but it's still not the greatest thing. I would still give it like, 5 out of 10 right now overall. Whether it makes a season 3 or not, it's one of those shows where I'm kind of like, if it gets a new season, I'll watch it. If it doesn't and it gets cancelled, then I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It's just one of those shows. It has its ups, it has its downs, and at the moment it's kind of 50-50 whether or not. So let me know what you guys think of this episode. Did you guys enjoy it? Smash down in the comment section below. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.